This is modern homesteading.
I am a honeybee, shut out from the colony, and they won't let me in. So I let
my friend and subscriber Chase Saxton, many of you guys may remember him from videos in the past. Actually, it was him and his father who designed my original Maker's Mark, the one that you see on my avatar. Well, Chase heard that I was looking for some carpenter's adzes, and he sent this to me, something that they had at their shop. And today, I'm going to take off this head and we're going to restore it. We're going to put a razor sharp edge on it, we're going to polish it, and it's not going to be recognizable. And then this will be a multi-part video series. I'm going to make a custom-made handle for it. An adze handle is going to be somewhat challenging. You can see there are a lot of curve and detail in it. And I'm looking forward to doing that. So let's knock this head off the handle and get to work. A carpenter's adze handle, or this one here, is not affixed to the head like a traditional axe would be. It's more fixed on like a mattox, which is just held on by friction. It's got a square head. So I'm not exactly sure why that is, but I do know a lot of the carpenters back in the old days. Well, that's a puzzle. Tell me how they would have got that on there in a way where you can't get it off. I'll get it out of there. Interesting. Some of the older carpenters didn't affix their heads to the tools because they wanted to be able to change the angle of them or slide them in out of different handles. Maybe they had a long handle and a short handle. And I was considering doing that because a lot of times these will work loose, but I'm going to try really hard to make a tight-fitting wedge taper handle so this will not wiggle and jiggle around, because I don't like rattling of a tool. But I am going to adhere to that, so you can see there the square head in contrast to the round there. So let's put this on the vise and see if we can't pound this out. So overall, the adze is in good shape. It's not been properly sharpened for a while. It's probably been used in the garden, grubbing dirt and rocks there. You can see that. It's got a chisel grind on the top, which it should not have, and on the flat. So we'll reprofile and rework that. It's got a lot of taper in it there. I might reprofile this. We'll see once we get out in the shop. I might take a little bit of this material out like this to make it a little bit leaner and meaner and lighter, and then I would prefer a straight cut on that chisel section. The pole is in good shape. Sometimes you'll find that these have a lot of cracking on them. They'll be used improperly as a mallet or a hammer. This one's not bad. Not bad at all. And the rust and pitting on it is actually not all that deep, so we won't have to take off that much metal. But let's take this out into the metal shop and start making some sparks. So here you can see the near finish polish. Got a few swirl marks in there to get out, but big difference there. Here's before, pitted and rusted, and here's the after. So I'm going to take you through the step-by-step process that I use from getting this to this. When I have a tool that's this rusted and this much shape, this bad a shape, we've got to take quite a bit of material off. If we want that polished look, we've got to get all those pits out there. Is it necessary for the tool to function properly? No, not at all. But if you have the tools and have the time, there's no reason why you can't put an hour or two into it and really do it nice. Make it so you're proud of it. I'm going to start with an angle grinder, just a standard. I like the Metabos. You can use the DeWalt's, Makitas, lots of good ones out there. Harbor Freight, if you're only going to do one tool, there's no reason to invest a ton of money in something you're not going to use very often. But we're going to start with the grinder. Be very careful with this, because this is a radical, takes off a lot of material. It's a radical tool, and one wrong move and you can put a big gouge that's difficult to work out. So you really need to take your time and be careful with this. Now I'm going to grind this until I get every single pit out of there. There won't be any little rust pits. It'll all be smooth. So I'll take it all down. So sometimes it takes quite a bit of time. You can have one pit in the middle that's really deep. So I'll just keep working it down uniformly. I want it as flat as possible, but we don't want those pits in there because we won't be able to polish inside of them. After the grinder's done, my favorite tool is a little pneumatic angle grinder like this with a roll lock attachment on it. You can see these little abrasive discs. They simply spin on here. This is the best tool out there for polishing and hard to get small tools and areas. I just love it. It'd be hard to do it without it. Start with a 36 grit, real coarse. After that, I'm going to go with a 60 grit. And after that, I'm going to go with this heavy duty, it's kind of like a Scotch Brite, really abrasive. This is a coarse. And then a medium. And then, of course, a traditional Scotch Brite, which is a fine for buffing. If you want to get all the swirls out of it, you've got to use that, go through that slow process. So here's the head in its condition after the 36 grit. So what you can see is I've used the roll lock to get all of the deep scratching out of the grind, the deep scratches that were put in here by the grinder, the electric grinder. And then I had also a lot of broken corners. And one way that you can kind of, well, that you can really get rid of those is by chamfering these corners. You know, so I've got these angles all in there where I took it down to get rid of those corners. And I like the looks of that. I think that there is just an elegance to hard edges. It's really easy just to go ahead and round everything off, just to bullnose everything. And that's what so many guys do with carpentry, whether it's wood or metal. And I don't like it. I never have liked the way it looks of it. I like the hard, asymmetrical angles, and we'll keep those on there. So I'm not going to finish these off with any type of machinery, the grinders at all, because I want to keep those that way. I'll finish those off by hand and polish those. But got a little bit of hairline cracking you can see in there at the pole, but I'm not worried about that too much. Got some hard to get areas here. You can see right in there. I can't get to with the roll locks or with the grinders. Again, right in there. So I'm going to use a die grinder. So this is a die grinder. It's similar to the angle grinder, but it just has all different types of bits on there. So I'll choose something that's kind of round, kind of like this one. You can see here some of the different options here for different types of jobs, you know, whatever you might find yourself in. I like the round ones, especially when we're dealing with round angles. So you can see that, you know, that's going to fit in there when I come through there and make a real natural, same here, real natural look to it. And I'll use this very carefully and get down into the metal, get past through all that rust, and then, you know, hand finish it. It's the only way. I'll also use the grinder to clean out a bit of this rust. I'm not going to go real crazy in there because I don't want to take out a bunch of material, but I'm going to knock off any of the loose stuff.
If you made it to the end of this video, I can assume that you'd like to see the finished product. Go ahead and click on the thumbnail to the bottom left, and that'll take you to part 2 of the video where I put a razor sharp edge on this Oz head. And if you haven't already, please take a moment to click the thumbs up button. It really helps. And if you're not a subscriber, I invite you to subscribe to the channel to follow more homesteading adventures.